everyone. Welcome back to the Meebits podcast. This is podcast number 11, episode 11. And I'm really excited to be here today chatting with the patron of the arts and NFT space, Mr. Adam Weitsman. Adam, how are you today?
Good, sir. How you doing? Definitely happy to be here.
Good, good. You are obviously somebody that's had a big impact in NFTs, but I feel like given obviously how busy you are with day to day, we don't really get to hear much from you in the space. So I'm really excited to help get people to know you a little bit better, your trajectory, your story, and what your views are for NFTs going forward, especially given how much you've put in, not just capital wise, but of your own personal energy and vote of confidence in different projects around the NFTs world.
Sounds great. Definitely happy to be here.
All right, well, let's jump right into it. Obviously, you've made some splashes, not just this year, but other years that NFTs have been around. The first time that I personally kind of like saw your name come up to the public view was when you started buying grails in the Bored Ape ecosystem. Not just the golden key from Dookie Dash, but a couple of other high-profile codas, I believe. Talk to us through how you first came across NFTs and what made you come over directly to the character IP side instead of, the more, let's call it, art or traditional art side of NFTs.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a fluke thing. A friend of mine was collecting or had a Bored Ape, and he showed me one because I'm from upstate New York, so the color up here is orange because of Syracuse. And he showed me an orange ape, and he goes, "Oh, you should get this. It's like really cool." He's explaining about NFTs, and he was explaining about Bored Ape. So I ended up purchasing that. And so that was like the first start of it. So it was kind of like an indirect thing that never was really supposed to happen. And then I just like fell in love with it, and I found it. I love the community. The community is the best part. I met so many good friends like yourself, and it's been a great experience so far.
That's amazing. It's crazy to think of how that changed, like kind of like butterfly effects, by showing you an NFT with a color that kind of like vibe with where you're from or where you are, and that really almost changing the course of NFT history, given a lot of the things that you've done, collecting and supporting projects. How do we go from buying one ape to becoming one of the biggest holder of grails in NFTs? Obviously, you said the community is something important, but you've made some very significant purchases of very rare NFTs through those months, through those years. Walk me a little bit to how you go from that first ape into really saying I'm going to go for the best NFTs available, especially within that first Yuga ecosystem.
I just really believe. Like, first of all, I believe in Yuga. Not when I first started collecting, I didn't know the founders, but I got to know the founders now. I consider them good friends. I really trust them. Not everything they do I agree with, but like in life, you don't have to agree with everybody, especially your friends. But especially now, I love the direction that they're heading, and I just saw some really great opportunities. I love this one ape. It was a Mega Mutant, a Demon Ape, and that was the first big plunge that I did. And then I started collecting the Mega Mutants when I could find them or when they came up. And a good friend of mine, PTM. He sold me. I think he was one of the big collectors of Mega Mutants. I bought 4 from him, and just trying to put together a collection. I've been trying to look for the unopened serum still, but I haven't had any luck finding that. But we've looked everywhere.
Yeah, it seems like there's only one left, right, to open. Every other one of every type has been already used.
Yeah, we've definitely been looking everywhere. I think everybody's looking because what I wanted to do is I wanted to open it at Ape Fest and put it on the Sphere in Vegas. So I thought it'd be really cool, like if we could find it and then everybody could enjoy it, and then we could do some crazy thing outside on the Sphere at night. So far I haven't been able to find it, but that's like a project that I've been trying to do, what I can.
Amazing. Well, in the off chance that we have the holder of the last serum out there, the mega serum out there, please do let Adam know and have a conversation with him. Now, one of the things that for me was very interesting when we had breakfast a few weeks ago there in your New York City apartment, your professional career, actually, you started out as an art dealer here in New York many, many, many moons ago, which to me is just interesting because I consider you like the biggest patron of character IP NFTs, right? Like PFPs. I haven't really seen you participate in the art side, but your background, the difference between you and almost every other participant in the space, you actually have a professional background in art. So I'm keen to hear how was it being an art, professional back in the day, and what are you doing today?
I mean, back then I just had a really small art gallery in the West Village. I'd worked for a major art gallery coming out of college. I was a fine arts major way back. I don't have any artistic talent for sure. I want to make sure that's clear. I can't draw, I can't paint, but I liked art history a lot. And I worked for this old time Madison Avenue gallery called Herschel Nadler. And I was in the American folk art department. And then from there, I ran a gallery in Soho way back. This is in the, you know, I don't know, this is a long time ago. This is, I'd be like 35 years ago. And then I started my own little gallery in the West Village. I didn't make any money at it, just enough to pay the rent and like have a walk-up studio apartment. So I know it's not when you said like professional, gallery person. This is just a really small. I had some beautiful things there, but I mean the place was like 400 square feet. But as long as I could make enough money to keep the place open and have this like 6th floor walk-up studio in the West Village, I was really happy.
Very passionate. It sounds like it was just a passion project then. Obviously you're now an industrialist, as you described it to me, which I think is such a cool term. I was watching this TV show called The Gilded Age,
Yeah.
with like the Vanderbilts and that kind of stuff, and it just reminded me of a little bit what you shared then. So you go from being an art dealer, and now you hold a conglomerate of a lot of different industrial companies, and you have a big portfolio of investments in many different industries. Just 15-second elevator pitch. What would you say let's say your role today in the professional world is?
I mean, the core business is like recycling and steel. So I'm a big person that really believes in recycling and not wasting things. There's a lot of people that don't have anything in this world. And we're a very throwaway country. It's a very throwaway world, but especially in the states, we throw a lot away. But recycling, we worked really hard to, into reuse and things like that. So I'd say that is, even though it's branched off, over the years, my love is recycling and metal.
And you have been very active as well in investing in Web3 and crypto projects. Could you tell us a little bit more about which areas you like the best? Where have you had the most success? Where do you have the most fun?
I like gaming. I've invested in a couple projects. Raven Quest, which is pretty new. Big Time GG, which has been pretty interesting. And then I'm really big into what you guys doing on the other side. So that's what I think my main focus today is. I'd say for that kind of project, I think the other side is the project that I like the most.
Perfect segue into my next question, which is the other side. You obviously also collected a ton of these. I mean, you own what, in the thousands now, I believe, from last time I saw a tweet about it. Tell me, what is there a thesis around it? Is it just mostly supporting Yuga on the other side? Are you planning on building on them? Kind of like, how are you approaching this for people that are just looking from the outside, seeing you collecting not just a lot, but also very significant, resources and sediments and so on?
Yeah, it was never. I'm not collecting it to flip these. I'm not any. I don't really do anything really short term. I want to be a part of what they're doing and what I think they're going to do in the future. I mean, these guys have like 60 to 70 full time developers. I don't know if people know that or not, but like they have like they're putting crazy amount of money and effort and time into this, and you can see that they are really focused. I mean, you were lucky with Meebits, which is the best, like a legendary thing that you just did. Then you had CryptoPunk, so you could see Moonbirds, things like that. So you can see that they're focusing on one thing, and other side is the thing I think will be their all-in moment. And I believe in these guys, I really do. I believe in the Garga. Um, is a good friend of mine, and I really believe him, and I trust them all. And not saying that. there's any guarantees in life because, as you know, like the heavy metal thing, I think was an epic disaster. Um, Dookie Dash, I wasn't a big fan of Dookie Dash. Even though I got the key for Dookie Dash, but I wasn't a huge fan of that. But other side, I think is exactly what I really believe in. I think they're going to make a whole economy. I think it's going to be pretty incredible. I think it's going to be a game changer for the space. So I definitely want to be a part of that.
So tell us more about. Obviously, you have a good relationship with Garga. You said you know a lot of people on the team. What are those conversations like when you're a very direct person, from my experience, and so you've uh, agreed and disagreed with some things, some games you didn't like. When you're talking to the other side team, to Yuga leadership, what's your message being to them?
I mean, they really owe it to the community on this project. This is a big one. A lot of people have invested a lot and put a lot of their hard-earned money into Yuga, and I think they know the responsibility that they have. And I think they're going to knock this one out. I think it's going to be the craziest. I know if you call it a Web3 project that's ever been done.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Well, obviously, Meebits have Metropolis. It's a dedicated island. There's no deeds or anything around it. It's just an island that Yuga Labs built when they had ownership of the Meebits, and that's going to be fully accessible once the persistent experience is out. So we're definitely
Yeah,
very invested.
I think the thing that's going to be great is I think that Meebits will be able to come. It's going to be really cool because they're not just doing it for them. All these other projects are going to be able to come on, and I think it's going to be a huge thing for Meebits too. That's one of the reasons. Also, I wanted to get involved in Meebits. Also, Meebits is one of my favorite of all the projects that's ever been. I loved it. You know, I think right after I got the Orange Ape, um, I think the next week I got a Meebit. So Meebit was like my old OG collection from way back in the day.
I didn't know that. That's amazing. I feel like that's
First
a
one,
story we hear a lot.
my second purchase ever was a Meebit. Number two.
That's amazing. It's something that we hear a lot, to be honest. People that were, obviously that was kind of like the moment when NFTs really became mainstream for a little bit, and people were coming in and they were buying either apes or Meebits, and then obviously different plans from the different teams. Meebits kind of just went quiet there for a while before they moved over to the Yuga family. But a lot of people that we've met now through this exercise of Meep Code were like, oh yeah, Meebits were my first or my second NFT, and it's like, what happened? And I'm like, oh well, now we're back, and so it's exciting to have people like you supporting us and being there and making those big grail purchases. We had been talking about it dissected for months. It was really really hard to finally get you and one of the holders
Kept annoying you too. I was just like, hey, help,
to connect. I mean, from our side, it's like, yeah, we want to see this straight, but we also understand, these people were diamond holding this dissected. Just to give the audience a little more background, you and I were talking about this for a couple of months. You and your team reached out, said you guys were looking for a grail. There was a handful of visitors available, but you said, no, I want the rarest type. I want to dissect it. And we put you guys in touch with a few of the holders, but it was like, I don't know, it felt like these people did not want to let go of their dissected, almost for like any amount of money.
Yeah, and some of them are really great collections too. Even the one that I bought, it's in one of the best collections of NFTs in history.
Yeah,
So
that's
I had to convince. It took a lot of convincing, and like it was it was interesting, because we went after. I just like the dissected. I just love. It's just it had nothing to do with the yeah, it did with the rarity of it, but of the collection, I think the dissected are like crazy, and I was really it worked out really well. I think for all parties involved. So.
Yeah, no, it was amazing to see you come in and just, obviously you had a Meebit before, but really make a splash now, this new era of Meepco. I think the Meebits community was very excited. Honestly, personally, I know myself and our Meepco team just very touched by the vote of confidence and support from you through that acquisition. And not just that, but being in the Twitter group chat, just being just a Meebit like everybody else. It's pretty cool to see somebody like yourself who's been so successful professionally in life to become one of us, as that meme goes. So thank you for being such an active participant of the community as well.
Well, you're one of the reasons I bought it in the first, not the original one, but that I took the big plunge is I wanted to, I've been trying to meet, the people that are running these now. Like I met Spencer from, Spencer was great from Moonbirds. Like I met him with you originally, so I went to his offices and saw what they're doing. And yeah, I trust you and I like what you're doing. I like you're so passionate about it. Like you're crazy passionate, like next level crazy. But I like crazy because I'm crazy too. So that's why we get along. But yeah, that's why I want to, like, in my team are like looking now to get one of each, you know, all down the line. So we want to put together a really great collection of Meebits and be a part of it to the next level, which I know you're working on. So.
Amazing. We can't wait. There's only one full set collector out there, legendary gentleman by the name of Snowfurl. So it'll be great when you and your team complete that. You mentioned Spencer. Obviously, there's been a couple of other projects that have seen a resurgence. Not just projects that have been taken over, like Moonbirds, like Meebits, but also projects that have been building through the bear. We talked a little bit about Yuga, other side, Bored Ape. It's also Pudgy Penguins, Doodles, Chimpers. From your perspective, since this is not your day to day, but you obviously have an important allocation into this segment of the world, or the crypto economy, what's your perspective as to where NFTs are today, especially after what we went through for the last 3 years, and kind of like your short, like what wouldn't surprise you if it were to happen in the next year?
I don't know if I'm going to talk on value per se, but I definitely think we're at the bottom. I think, I mean, what you're doing with Meebits, what Spencer's doing, like when we went to lunch, you got to admit that Spencer guy's really smart. He's like next level smart. And I went to visit his team. I went there at like 12:30 at night, and I went to his offices, and they're all working. They're all in it, and that's the kind of project I want to be a part of. So, like, I got a really cool glitch, Moonbird that I was really happy to be able to bring in the collection, because I definitely believe what people are doing. And NFTs have been given like a really bad name because so many projects were crap and bullshit and scams, and that's the problem. That's what the really great projects. I feel Meebits is one of the top, I'd say, three projects of. I mean, it's a legendary project, but the bad part for you is that you have a lot of people that were burned really hard by projects that were total scam, like total fraud. And it wasn't even like a project they tried and to try to make it successful. There was never any plan. The only plan was to scam, and I think that's part of the uphill battle that you're facing. But now I think a lot of those projects are now, you don't see them popping up as much. I think now the real projects, Pudgies, Yuga, I think Moonbirds, I think the really great projects are really going to take off now. And you're going to have more people involved too. Like people, my friends, like I post on Twitter, a lot of my friends on Twitter aren't in the space, so they're asking questions, they're making a purchase, they're collecting something. So that's what you're going to need to get to the next level. It's just more people. And that's what Other Side's going to do. Other Side, I think, is going to bring a whole bunch more people into the space, which is really good for you too.
It's actually going to ask you. You must have very successful friends that are not in NFTs or even crypto. What did they tell you when you tell them, "Oh yeah, I just did this. I just invested in this company. Just bought this JPEG," or that they know that you're involved? Like you mentioned, that there are now some of them coming in, but what's like the overall perception where you're like at a dinner party and the topic comes up?
I think in the beginning, people are like, "Well," but then once you explain it, and people know, like, I'm a conservative investor. You gotta understand, I'm old, like I'm old and beat up, so like I'm a very very conservative investor. That's at least what I think I'm known for, is being more conservative. So I think people like look at it like, okay, like he's just. I'm going to look into this because he's done his research, and if he feels comfortable, I think other people feel comfortable too. And I never really talk about value. I'm never going to be like, oh, it's going to go to this, or ETH is going to go to this. I let the market. The market will speak for itself. That's the great thing. You don't need to hype things, or the market will do its job on its own, and you can clearly see it's doing that recently because all this stuff happened without people pumping the projects. The guy that just swept the crypto punks, that was big. That's a big sweep. It's not like anybody had to hype that up. These people are doing these things now. Now the action that you're seeing now is real action.
Let's talk about punks for a second since you brought them up. Obviously, they're now on the Node Foundation under Miki Malka's stewardship. You have one or two punks, I know. What's your perspective as far as punks? Do you still see them within the same like level, or I'm not talking like financially, just like have they really left the space of like character IP and become more of just pure art, or how do you see punks from your perspective?
A little both, but they're the Picasso of NFTs that they are. And Meebits is the child of, I feel, of CryptoPunks. You know what I mean? So I think it's the best art. I think CryptoPunks and Meebits is some of the best art ever. And but it's legendary. That the CryptoPunks is a legendary group, and they're on a whole nother level. I think they're a one of one on the top scale of projects, and I don't think anyone will be able to, because they were the OG. I don't think no one should even compare themselves to that. You can still be an amazing project, but that is the greatest project in NFT history, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think like the space is maturing a little bit before it was like any sort of excitement of our project, like oh yeah, we're gonna be better than punks, and it's like there's levels to this, and I think there's categories, not just PFPs but also art and so on. So I think punks have really kind of got into that like next level of whatever that scale is, and hopefully they keep ascending. And I think that's good for everybody. It just brings everybody up with them, and then Pudgy's winning, Moonbird's winning, Apes winning, Meebits winning should be good for everybody else as well.
No, I agree. Um, I just see like CryptoPunks are just going to be in museums everywhere. I think you're going to see museum of modern art. I think you're going to see a CryptoPunk like as you walk in next to some of the greatest contemporary artists. I think you're going to see a punk there soon.
I agree. You're a successful businessman. You have, like I said, a lot of enterprises and great investments under your belt. You mentioned that you like to see passion in founders and people working hard and a little bit of craziness. But if you were to kind of like distill not just your investment framework, but really like your life approach when it comes to business, how you run your business, how you run your companies, what you look for, like what would that be? How would you describe the things that you like to put your time and resources into?
I mean, that's a tough one. Um, but everything I do is kind of like a long term thing. So I'm just more like in life. Right now it used to be like I did all the material stuff, crap, and then now that I'm older, I'm just collecting experiences now. So like just getting to meet people in the space is I've met so many amazing people in the space, and some it's been very random. Like I always love Beeple's work. Right? I always was a big fan, and then I got a message or a message on X from him. I thought it was fake. I thought it was a fake account, but I looked at his real account, so I messaged him. We FaceTime. We FaceTime for an hour. Then he invited me down to see his artwork at the museum in the city this past weekend or weekend before, and it was just like amazing, like to see his passion, what he's done for the space. And again, it's all about relationships. When I was younger, your age and stuff like that, it was more about everything was just materialistic, and now today everything is about me. It's just building relationships, and that's the best part with Yuga. I really feel like I built strong relationships with those guys.
That's amazing. It's funny because you see me as young. I feel like ancient now when I'm almost 40 next year. But it resonates because I see a lot of people just flaunting, purses, bags, like diamonds on the timeline. And I'm like, man, I did some of that back in my mid 20s, and I wish I just bought Bitcoin or just like the S&P 500 instead. But you live and you learn, right? I think it's funny because when you're young and you're like looking at older people, they're like, oh, you'll understand when you're my age, and you're like, oh, the hubris of old men, and then you get a little older, you're like, when you're my age, you'll definitely understand. Like, I just understand my parents a lot. I mean, I don't have kids yet, but just some of the life decisions that they had to make back in the day that I didn't really grasp. Now I'm like, yep, totally makes sense.
Yeah, and you learn that when you're older too. Because when I was in my 20s, like I made so many mistakes, and got in trouble. I was in prison back in the day for a year when I was in my 20s, and that's why I think I appreciate stuff so much more now. Because 25 years ago I was in a jail cell, and now like you work hard, and you just got to be honorable and ethical, and there's no gray area in life anymore. You just have to, you just the key is just to be a decent human. The rest will come to you.
How about business advice? Folks that are listening to this that are either launching not just potentially like their Web3 companies, but even like artists that are starting to approach their practice and their career more like a business in this space that allows them a little bit more freedom, a little bit of more disintermediation. What's your like business advice to folks that are in their 20s and looking to get started in that journey?
I mean, the basic key to any business, I think, is being really organized and methodical. When I was up with Spencer, I'm like, organize this, organize that. Like when I was up in their studio and stuff like that, he's running around trying to like straighten stuff up. So it was like it's really great to see like it's so hard with the time. We have so little time anymore. So like having really great time management and just being very organized, I think those are the basic keys to a lot of success.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's again something that I've learned as I got older myself. I didn't know how much free time I had in my 20s until I started studying for the CFA exam while I was working at Goldman. And then I managed to find like an hour extra each day to study. And I was like, oh my God, look at what a little discipline does to your day. It just extends your ability to be productive.
Yeah, we have more time. We waste a lot more time than we realize.
Going back to art, do you also collect tokenized digital art outside of the NFTs that we know in your collection? Or are you still more on the more traditional side? Because I know you have some pieces there in your apartment when we visited.
Yeah, I mean, I just started, on collecting some other, NFT things that aren't, figural per se. But it changes every day. Just whatever I like is really what I go to. The value, hopefully, it retains value and it's a good investment. But in the end, if I love it, if it goes to zero, I still have something I love. So
You're more a painting guy, sculpture. What's your preferred medium?
a little both. But back in the day, it was funny because some people still do laugh because I'm, the NFTs. Like they kind of think I'm kind of crazy. But back in the I think it's back in 1990, 19, no, the 1980s. They laughed at me. All my friends laughed. I paid $75,000 for a graffiti artist, that was still alive. And then, Basquiat today is probably that was a world record back then for what it was. And, and so like I don't know if they're laughing so much about that one today. So, but I think Meebits and some of these projects are like the Basquiats of today.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think for us, obviously, we took this on because we love them, but also because Matt and John's legacy, I think, is clearly going to be very important in the story of digital art, tokenized digital art, NFTs, and so on. So pretty excited to steward them. Outside of the dissected, what's your next favorite type? Have you had a chance to go through the many, 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 many traits that we have?
Well, no, there's one that we want, of course, is the triple-headed pig.
Yeah, that one's definitely in diamond hands. Definitely, definitely in diamond hands. Great collector, CL. We love him. A huge, good friend of Meetco. Yeah, no, you definitely like your girls then.
Yeah, no, I like that one a lot. I think that one is crazy. So I think that'd
Yeah,
be that'd be one of the next ones we'll try for.
yeah. So a bit of not even alpha, but like lore. When Matt and John were ideating the collection, and when they thought of the glitch pig, John specifically had thought, maybe in the future there'll be a Meebits game that's multiplayer and everybody's playing as their Meebit. but then the environment changes when there's a rare type in the game. And so they thought if the collector that owns the glitch pick comes into gameplay, then like the sky will turn red and there'll be like all this animation and so on. So
That's really cool. I didn't know that. That's really
that's a bit of lore. Same thing with the dissected. Again, they didn't want in their idea and the concept idea of like eventually if there was a game, they didn't want it to be where the most expensive pieces had like powers that would overwhelm everybody because that wouldn't be fair. But they did want the presence of rare types to obviously have an influence in the game. And one of many concepts that we've had the opportunity to discuss with them that share some of the lore and the inspiration that went into the collection. And hopefully as we go through time, we're able to team up to bring some of that to life, which I think would be pretty cool.
That's a really good story. I had no idea. I love that. But the glitch pick is like next level crazy. The art
It's
is
insane.
yeah,
It's insane.
totally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's not the glitch pick, then what would it be?
Another dissected.
Another one.
This, I forgot what it's called, but the one that's totally clear.
The naked. We call it the naked dissected. There's really no name for it, but it's the naked dissected. Yeah, that one will be incredible. It looks really good on the other side as well. It's like really funky.
Really beautiful. It's
Yeah, no, that would be amazing. They're rarer than alien punks by a factor of 2, actually, because there's only 5,
the
and
artwork of that is amazing.
it's wild.
Yeah, it is.
Anything else that you're excited about this year? We talked other side. We've talked obviously Meebits, apes, gaming, Moonbird. Shout out Spencer and the team. Anything else that you wake up in the morning, either IRL or metaverse, that just gets you really excited?
No, I think I'd like to get a pudgy. I think that would be maybe the next thing that we try to do. We don't have any in the collection yet, so I think that's what I've been talking to gentleman that's running that project. Really great guy, reaches out. Yeah, the nicest guy. It's like been trying to help me find the right one. So definitely been on a search, but it has to be the right one. So I'm not in a rush.
Nice.
Got a couple ideas.
Nice. No, I definitely think you take your time to find what you want. No, I think it's so amazing that you support different teams. I think in a space that tends to be so tribal, because people identify so much with like their main NFT or their main character, sometimes fail to realize that there's a really big pie out there, and the more everybody wins, the more that pie expands, and we can all do better. And I think you're one of the marquee people that not only buys grails, which I think it's super important for collections, but also you definitely support teams that some others will consider like competition, which I think sends a really good message.
Yeah, I don't think it's really competition. In the end, I think these projects are all going to somewhat work together. And just like just to see that the guy from Pudgies was nice enough to reach out, it shows he cares. And it's not like he's trying to make anything for himself. He's just trying to connect me and get something in the collection. And then I became just a big fan, just because the way he was as a person.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Like you said earlier, there was a lot of bad people in the space 3 or 4 years ago. Unfortunately, left us with a somewhat of a bad reputation to the people that were caught by those bad actors or just projects that were rugs. But I do think as we continue to move forward in time, we have really good people, not just on the teams working on the projects, but also the community that chose to stay behind and help build out this ecosystem and be there day in and day out. I think it's just a much better place today than it was maybe like at the end of 21.
But I feel in the past, I agree with you 1,000%. But I think in the past 2 weeks, there's been a big flip, a big switch of people having more confidence. I really do. Just in the past 2 weeks, I feel that a lot of things have changed, and I think this is really what it needed.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good. We're really happy to see kind of like the renewed interest. Obviously, number going up is the best technology, and it always draws people in. But I think underneath that surface, you have people that really want to see NFTs succeed, especially character IP NFTs, and they've been supporting multiple teams across the board. Adam, before I let you go, any last words, advice, anything else that you want to leave our Meebits podcast audience with?
No, I just appreciate your friendship. And if anybody ever has any questions or anything, they can always DM me on Twitter or Instagram because I always respond. It takes me a little while because I'm kind of like tired all the time, but I always respond to everybody. So if anybody has any questions or concerns or, I'm always here to support.
Awesome. Well, I can vouch for how open and friendly and available and supportive you are. So again, from the bottom of our heart at Meevco and the Meebits community, it's an honor to have you be a dissected collector. We look forward to seeing that Meebits collection continue to grow, hopefully into a full set at some point down the line. But if not, sure, we'll see you at Ape Fest. We have a really cool pair of activations around Ape Fest. And then hopefully you'll be able to rock your Meebits merch hats.
Oh, I like that. That's cool. That looks good. So good.
Uh, awesome. Well, Adam, again, I know you're extremely busy with your day today. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. It was super exciting to dive both into your professional past as well as the stuff that you've done and supported in Web3 and what gets you excited about the future. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you.